Am I ready? I'm ready. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Sound test, 1, 2, 3. So, this is a slide of the two.
No, you're going behind.
Sorry? I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's
Good. And then the pointer is... Pointer is...
Pointer is this one.
Okay. Okay, that's me. What's that then? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Or the evening now, isn't it? Feels like an afternoon. Right. So, does anybody know what we do as a company? Does anybody done any research or homework or anything like that? So there's 2 people in the room that know what we do. So, before I go into what we do, let me introduce myself a little bit more about who I am, my background. I've been working in the property industry for about 30 years now. I know that I look about 21, so some of you may disagree. I've been working in a corporate life for about 20 years. I worked for companies like Deloitte and the like, doing project management. We used to manage their global web presence for them. I've been on Sky TV talking about business, as well as I've also been on the pilot for Dragon's Den before it came live, so I've met all the dragons and met a couple of them individually. That's all the good news. I'll also tell you the bad news as well. I used to have quite a large 10, 20 million pound portfolio, quite big numbers. Used to buy about 10 properties a month at one stage in auction for Bernard Marcus about 15, 20 years ago now. But unfortunately I went bankrupt and lost everything. And I suppose I've been too embarrassed to come and present anything for many, many years to hide my shame. But I think coming out now and talking and sharing my experience, I think will probably be of value to all of you, because I think as part of your knowledge and learning, you will also make mistakes along the way. So some people I know that I've met in my career now, I've met people who've had 4 billion portfolios, they've lost 1 billion, and they don't seem to even break out in a sweat. And then I've met other people who've lost £5,000 or owe somebody £5,000, and when every time I see them, they literally break out into crying and despair. Now, so your relationship with debt is going to be very personal, and what I'm trying to say to you is somebody could have £1 million or somebody could have nothing, but the person with nothing could be even equally happy. So there's a message behind there somewhere, but just thought I'd share that with you. What I'm going to do also is introduce a couple of my staff members. I've got Ben here, who's heads up our marketing. You want to stand up for a second, Ben? Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ben.
He's the main man. He gets all the business into the company.
I do like the social media thing.
Okay, thank you, Ben. And then we've also got John Walters in the back. He's come to do some filming for us today, but he's also joined us as a consultant recently. Now, what I'm going to do is this is really exciting stuff, so get ready for this slide. You all ready?
Yeah, ready. Yeah.
Okay. So this is what we do. Can anybody work out what I mean by we deal in scrap metal? Because I thought I'd throw something at you to try and make you think, rather than just be told lots of things. Sorry?
Renovating old apartments.
Close? Any other guesses?
Build something new.
Nearly. 2 more guesses.
Recycling.
Yeah, recycling is probably the closest to it. So, who said recycling first? Okay, you're a very clever gentleman.
No, we've got clients in scrap metal business.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So, the analogy is that we deal in property that's technically underwater. So basically, it's got no real value, but we actually get different component parts of properties and actually create value out of them. So, what I want to do is just move on now and just show you what we convert those sort of assets into. So, basically, the analogy is that dead assets that you get, which are problematic, we actually make money out of them. So we can convert scrap or rubbish assets into hammers, Ferraris, Lamborghinis or aeroplanes. I'm not very good with cars. Bicycles. So how do we do it? What do we do? How does it work? You know, what are we doing in business? It's a big question. So what we've done is we've thought of a way of actually getting to the property market, and the only analogy I can use is that we're sort of the Neato-Roddick's of the like the Body Shop is to GlaxoSmithKline and Beecham. We're very organic in what we do, and very holistic, and looking at things from a human point of view when we do property. Now that sounds a bit odd in property because most people think of property as a way of investing, and it's all very greed-led and a lot of money involved, and people want to get in there and do that sort of thing. But we've come up with a model that's completely different and off the wall that nobody's really considered or thought of even. So we're specializing in the negative equity market, and that's an area that nobody's really considered as even a market because there's a lot of hard work involved in terms of doing debt forgiveness. So we specialize in helping people who've got financial distress basically, and we specialize in negative equity. I won't bore you too much. Does anybody know what negative equity is? Right, who would like to explain it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, who would like to give an explanation what negative equity is? Anybody? Anybody?
Can I go?
This gentleman there with the glasses looks very knowledgeable.
That's okay, it's when the loan's greater than the value of the asset.
That's right. Does everybody aware of what negative equity is now? So it's basically when the loan is higher than the value of the asset, which is pretty much what this gentleman said. Now, for those of you might be too young to actually know about negative equity, because this happens over a period of time, is that a lot of people bought properties in the 80s and 90s for, let's say they bought 10 properties for about £1 million. That's the value, and their debt was about 750. But around 2007, 2008, during the crash of Northern Rock, properties crashed below the actual debt amounts, and there were probably 1 million people that actually went into negative equity. Now, just to let you know, we don't buy properties for clients, we actually help them if they've got financial problems or negative equity. So we actually more of a motherly or nurturing figure in terms of helping them, which is very different. We don't really take their assets and try to strip them or try to do a sort of like a Richard Gere thing that used to do in Pretty Woman. Yeah? So we classify ourselves, hence for those reasons, as the Robin Hoods of the landlord and property owners. So we help clients with pretty much any distress scenario, and I'll give you a couple of case studies today because my day has been full of clients coming in wanting help, not just in distress but also with good situations. So I'm going to go through all those different things in a minute. So our specialisms are around negative equity, stopping repossessions. We stop repossession within 24 hours anywhere in the country. What we've done is I've been going to Belfast about every 4 years, since about 4 or 5 years ago, and about once a month, and fly in the morning, fly back again, but literally have 10 appointments with people that are negative equity, and we actually do their debt write-offs to them. And I think they're very, it's a very ingrained sort of culture where they don't really like anybody coming in from England to want to talk to them, but they're willing to welcome me with open arms. So I used to get lots of hugs from nearly all the locals, which is kind of strange for somebody who's actually from London with a strange English accent and is also Indian. So that shows how the value of what we do is actually made a major difference to the local communities there. We specialise in LPA receiver negotiations. Does anybody know what LPA receivers are? Any ideas, gentlemen, ladies? Okay, this could be very beneficial for you guys, which is if you're buying properties, there's a lot of people that maybe bought. I've just had a call from just a young lady just now, about an hour before this presentation. They've basically defaulted on their loans and they've gone into arrears, so the bank have actually appointed receivers. When those receivers take the properties over, they've got the option to actually sell them at auction. So the value of those particular assets are about 1.2 million, the debt is about 400. So when the bank sells it, do you think they're going to be making a profit on it, or do you think they'll make a loss? Okay, hands up for losses. Hands up for profits. Why do you think they'll make a profit? Any particular reason that you think they'll make a profit? Okay. Anyway, from experience, the likelihood is that there's probably likely to be a small profit because the bank's not going to be able to sell 1.2 million asset for about 50,000. The debt's about 400, so the value is probably going to be at least about 800,000-900,000. But they're going to sell it in an auction for the cheapest price they can get, as long as they cover their debt amount. They don't give a monkeys. I usually use a lot of swear words, which I'm not using any of those to make sure that this presentation sounds professional. But let's just say that they'll basically skin the client alive. So the client's coming to see me tomorrow morning, and they're happy to pay whatever fees to solve the problem. So what we do is we specialize in actually dealing with the banks in terms of negotiating the debt with them. And at the same time, we also specialize in negotiating some finance or a sale or a restructure for the client. But we have all the suppliers and the toolkit in our pocket. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware of that model doesn't exist in this country. Nobody's doing that. We're the only people in this country doing that. So in terms of specializing in solving somebody's legal problem, solve their asset problem, solve their finance problem, solve their sale problem, and all can be done as a total solution we can't necessarily go and do it as one organization, but the way it's structured, it allows us to actually go and solve their problem. Anybody think that's a good idea? Okay, has anybody done that themselves before? Okay, so that's very important, the LPA receiver bit. And then we've got bridge funding, cash buyers, asset restructuring and tax, sourcing distressed assets. Basically, we get people coming and knocking on our door wanting to actually be JV partners or investors or want to buy assets from us. We don't really go and advertise because they're beginning to realize that we're onto something, because we don't buy ourselves. We just like to go and solve the problem. So if any of you are actually interested in buying distressed assets, and we don't do it to make a quick buck from either side, we actually create a win-win. So if somebody's in trouble, we solve their problem, you come in, you provide the funding. And yours is one option. So we'll give them the best option, so this is for funding, this is a sale purchase, this is a JV partner. What would you like to do, Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith? So, anybody interested in that type of purchase? So, I suggest you come in for a free 1-hour consultation. I'm not going to charge you anything. In fact, I'm going to offer you a cup of tea and coffee so I can actually find out more about what we can do to help you so we can help more of our clients. So, as I've just said, come and meet us. And Ben will take details of anybody interested. And then more people he gets who come and sign up and make money, he'll get big commissions. And then he's going to be even happier. Is that right, Ben? Okay, he likes that. So, what we've done is we're a cross between about 7-8 different organizations, which probably sounds a bit incomprehensible for most of you because we're unique. So we're a cross between organizations like Shelter, Citizens Advice Bureau, a law firm, accountancy firm, a business consultancy, a sourcing agency, sales and lettings agents, all combined into one structure, as well as a specialist law firm in litigation. Anybody heard of that before? Anybody heard of anything like that before? We're a bunch of weirdos, really, aren't we? Just admit it. I think this guy's weird. Don't know what he's talking about. Okay, so we are very different. I don't really get out and do any presenting or talk to anybody really because we're so busy dealing with clients' problems. And it is a very tough job. It is actually literally like being a social worker because I'm talking to people crying their eyes out. So we have 2-3 tissue boxes in our boardroom. In fact, most of the time it's me crying about their problems. not them crying, it's me crying because of the amount of problems they give me, and they want their problem solved within 24 hours. You'd be surprised. If you had a fly in the wall type situation where we are, or in one of these, TV programs which are like is it called off the wall or fly on the wall type situations, it would be very, very entertaining, but yet also very daunting for somebody like myself. So how do we systemize and process, and how do we scale up and help a lot more people? What we've done is we set up a portfolio solution system where we get people pay £350 and they basically get a sort of like a Bupa health check type situation. We actually give them a health check. So they pay £350. We look at how we can raise finance, do a health check, find out what products are suitable for them, look at cost reducing their portfolio or their financial problem, offer legal support, stop any possession issues, reduce any debt payments, repair their credit, and we also do a lot of behind the scenes work, which I'm not going to go into because they're politically sensitive. But we are doing some major class action against the, I was going to say a rude word actually, like flipping banks. But I'm not going to use the word banks again. Sorry about that. Apologise. I'm not sure if anybody already got that joke. So, what do we do? This is where I want to try and give you some case studies, because anything I'm saying at the moment sounds a little bit too high level. I want you to actually just get an understanding of some real work or real case studies that we do for clients, and what sort of clients can we actually help. So I wrote down some case studies here which I can talk to you about, which are probably fit the bill so you understand what we do. So for anybody that really wants to know more about what we do and wants 2 hours worth of reading material to read and sort of really get a proper understanding, there's a 24-page document on our contact us page on rescuemyproperties.co.uk which tells you everything we do with negative equity, so you don't need to actually worry about taking any notes. But if it's the case that you want to understand what we do across the board, we've also got a document in there which is called sort of like a benefits document. It's a 24-page document, another 24-page or 25-page document which talks about how to manage your portfolio. I think it's called a portfolio analyzer. So there's an Excel spreadsheets and tools and things which you find very useful for yourselves to actually know where you're at. But there's also tools on there which it tells you how you decide whether you're in a good portfolio situation, a bad portfolio situation, or an ugly situation. And as a general premise, anybody who's got more than 50% loan to value in their portfolio, we consider them good in our books. If your portfolio is below 50% loan to, well, if it's higher than 50%, if it's, let's say, 65 or 75%, as far as we're concerned, it's a bad portfolio, because you're at risk of interest rate hikes, you're at risk of all the rubbish sort of tax type situations that are going on with stamp duty, and you can't really use your interest against tax and all these type of things. So you are not quite in a slippery slope, but you could be if you're near the 75 to 85% mark. But if you're around the 65 to 60% mark, then I'll need to look at it and give you my sort of professional opinion on what we think based upon our understanding of your portfolio. So if you want the hard truth and you want somebody to actually look at it and give you a free consultation behind closed doors, then happy to do that. And then we can work out that whether you're in a good, bad, or an ugly position. This has got nothing to do with your looks, remember. This is all to do with your facts of your portfolio, how that looks. Okay, I've got 10 minutes. So I'm going to go through 6 case studies very quickly for people that are in a good situation and